Hello everyone, I am once again joined by my father. Say hello, Dad.
Hello.
In today's video, we are going to be reviewing the original Fly from 1958. Yes, there's an original Fly. You might think of the Cronenberg remake, but give this one a try. Let me tell you, it cringes me when people dismiss this one and only think about the Cronenberg remake. Would you agree on that?
Yes, it's of course, it's a movie of its time. The special effects are not as sophisticated, although, there are some special effects that work quite well.
Oh, they do, and I love this movie despite... Well, I mean, it does have, a fan following, of course, but it just, cringes me how, nobody would, give this a shot because it was made back in the 50s. They're thinking, oh, it sounds like some, cheesy sci-fi B-movie. Oh, no, this movie has a lot more to offer than just sounding like a cheesy sci-fi B-movie. You want to talk cheesy sci-fi B-movie, well... I haven't seen the sequels, but the sequels aren't as good. Well, more on that later, though. But this film really has a lot more to offer because it's about a scientist who thinks that he has, this amazing, invention. Yes, I invented something amazing, a teleportation where people don't have to worry about taking cars, they don't have to worry about, or airplanes, etc. And thinking that getting this teleportation will transport wherever you go, but maybe it's not really as thrilling as it sounds.
Yeah, and this sort of actually predates Star Trek.
Yes.
With the teleportation that occurs there.
Right.
But I think one of the themes of the movie is that no matter how carefully you try to control different factors in an experiment, there's always something that potentially can go wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Just by chance, and you can't anticipate everything.
Right. Well, that's what I really love about this or other, sci-fi films, people think, oh, science is this amazing fascination, but yet it can go too far and go wrong when when it takes control of your life and has an effect on your social life too. Because we see how Andre, the scientist who is the inventor of the teleportation, we see how he thinks that he's so close, but he's neglecting his love life and and you feel bad for I mean, it's not that he's a bad father. He's just trying really a little bit too far and extreme of trying to create something that could be unique that no man has ever done in the history of science.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's caught up in his work.
Right.
He's caught up in the pursuit of scientific discovery.
Right.
And as a result of that, he neglects his family.
Yeah, kind of sad in a way when you think about it.
Mm-hmm.
Also, Vincent... When I first saw this movie, I thought Vincent Price was going... I thought he was going to be the monster because you see him on the post, but then you realize he's the second antagonist of the is that correct?
Protagonist.
Protagonist, the second character,
right?
Which kind of shocked me, but still, Vincent Price is always fun to watch, no matter what he does. And
yeah, his role is very different for him because he plays the mild mannered, very thoughtful.
Yeah.
And he's really the antithesis of the characters that we're used to seeing him play.
Right.
And he's a good actor, so he's very effective at it.
What I really love about his performance, he's a gentleman, he's kind, he's caring, he's also very concerned about what happened. How is it that my brother was murdered? He couldn't understand because he doesn't really know. That's not his fault and why. Mm-hmm. It's true they say we don't know what goes behind closed doors. And Patricia Owens' character, Andre's wife, it's not that she doesn't... She's just afraid of, how are you going to, tell a story, what happened about, what happened, how he, he tried to experiment on himself for the teleportation to see if it'll work on himself, but how he turned into a monstrous fly.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, how can you, explain that to somebody if anyone would, believe that?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's another thing too. I love how we're left in suspense in this film of even when we see told through her point of view, and the accident happened, but she doesn't know, and he's afraid to come out. And it's kind of similar in Phantom of the Opera when Christina unmasks Eric in a way when you think about it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
there is similarity.
Yeah, definitely similar.
Very, very shocking exposure there.
Yeah.
And also a very interesting special effect is the point of view character, the point of view shot where the fly is looking at his wife screaming in terror.
Yeah.
And the way they have it set up is that you have multiple images, like the multiple eyes that are in a fly.
Right.
So that's a very neat kind of special effect.
I never knew that, but that's very interesting that you bring that up. And when you know, like in that scene, like it's just so like suspenseful and tragic because he's afraid of like showing, you know, like telling the truth. And when he unmasks it, you just like all that like rage, the body language just shows his like frustration. How like you know, how can I turn back to being normal after what just happened? And the other thing too is like we're rooting for him to find the fly is what was responsible for the teleportation.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. You were going to say something? I'm sorry.
Well, yeah, and you know the not to give away anything, but the ending is really
well. Again, if you haven't seen the movie, stop it right here. Well, this is a little spoiler right here.
Yeah, I don't want to spoil it actually because I think the ending has a very strong impact.
It does.
I remember as a kid seeing it and seeing it on television, and it was a very disturbing and frightening thing to see. The way it's done is very, very convincing.
I'm sorry.
No, that's all right. Go ahead.
I was creeped out by it. I'm like, oh my God.
It is.
Like,
it is. It's you have to see it.
Yes. But let's just say that we're going to be in for a very big surprise when you see the ending. Even I was too. And even though I've seen it multiple times, but it's still like something that can get under your skin no matter how many times you see it, because of just the thought of it. It just really can like terrify and just creep you out thinking about that, being in that situation. Yeah.
Yeah, and of course, you know, Cronenberg's Fly is different in that, you know, he's a body horror type of director.
Yeah, but I want to, I'm not to interrupt, I want to say that for a solo review, though.
Oh, okay.
But still, a
but
little
just in comparison, you know, it's a lot more graphic.
Yes.
And the character who plays the Fly is what's his name? I'm blanking on his name.
Who in the remake?
In the remake,
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, Jeff Goldblum.
He's absolutely brilliant.
Oh, he is
in the role.
Yes,
even with all the makeup and everything.
Yeah,
he's excellent. But it's a different kind of movie.
It is.
If you see, you've probably seen Cronenberg's Fly first.
Yes, which I did.
And just don't take that with you into this movie, because this Fly is a lot more retro, and the special effects are not as elaborate.
No, well,
but the story itself is very good. It's compelling. The characters are compelling.
Yes,
and it has a knockout ending.
Oh, it does. Did you ever see the sequels they made to this movie? No, me neither.
I never saw the sequels.
I hear the second one's alright, but the third one, it's like, okay, they were like pushing it again. I think this is another like horror / sci-fi film that was not like sequel material. You know, it's like, did we really? They probably just made it for like a quick buck. Let's face it, they weren't like, you know, trying to top what the first film like represented. And his son Felipe was like trying to follow in his father's footsteps, but but we can only imagine probably how that turned out without even seeing it.
Right.
The third film, I don't know much about what that premise was. I know Vincent Price had no involvement. I guess it's like just a basic, generic sci-fi B-movie. Yeah. Any final closing thoughts on The Fly?
No, I well, just that it is a movie that was unique at the time.
Yes.
And you know, the whole concept of transportation, teletransportation, and the potential for a mix-up to occur, an unforeseen incident, which, you know, scientists have to deal with that sort of thing all the time.
Right.
Things happen that they don't expect because you can't anticipate everything.
No.
But this is, you know, a fairly highly dramatized episode of that. And, you know, the characters are, they're sympathetic characters.
They are.
And you really have empathy for them, and you
Absolutely.
feel sorry for what they're going through.
Yeah.
But and sometimes, and in some way, it's a warning that there are certain things that science, certain boundaries that science should not go over.
Well, here's a question that I want to bring up, actually. Could it ever be possible like this to ever happen in our lifetime of like transportation?
I don't think so.
Because if it did, I don't know, after watching this movie, I'm not so sure if I would trust it. It's not even... I mean, yeah, it worked on Star Trek. It doesn't mean it's going to work...
Yeah, I don't think so, because if you really think about it, what you have to do is deconstruct an entire human body,
Right.
and then reconstruct it again at some other point. I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon.
Well, remember, also, not to... Do you remember Spaceballs?
Yeah.
If you remember, they sort of somewhat parody The Fly when Mel Brooks's character, President Scrooge, teleports, and at first he's a little skeptical about it, and they said, "Oh yeah, it works very well." And he goes, "Okay, fine, I'll give it a shot. Heck, it works on Star Trek." Mm-hmm. He goes to the teleportation, and then his body reverses backwards, butt is in front of him.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
As a little kid, I didn't see that connection. Now, as an adult, it's like now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The things that, as a kid, when you watch things like that, you don't see the connection, the parody references until you're an adult,
right.
Mm-hmm. Jesus, what happened to his head? It's on backwards. This is terrible. Why did somebody tell me my butt was so big?
Yeah, that's a very funny movie.
It is. I like Spaceballs. Not only did it parody, it parodies a mixture of blending of all the different type of popular sci-fi films of Planet of the Apes, 2001: A Space Odyssey, and
right.
Yeah. Okay, I guess that wraps about everything.
Yeah.
So that was our review of The Fly. Like the video, subscribe, that bell button to get the latest updates on my YouTube channel, and I will see you next time. Say goodbye, Dad.
Bye-bye.